People are hurting so bad and they need hope.
Yeah, that's good.
It's time. Yeah. But are we willing? That's the thing. Are we willing to step outside our own comfort? Are we willing to step outside not having a plan or an agenda or just really just sitting with people? My name is Michelle, and I was 18 years old, a senior at Columbine.
My name is Lauren, and I was 15 years old and a freshman in the cafeteria back in 1999 when the shooting happened. Growing up, post-Columbine, my life obviously has dramatically changed. There's been seasons of real hard and grief. But on the other side of forgiveness for me is when I really started to see this terrible tragedy, opportunity to see it turn for good.
Now, like even going through that experience and having the everyday in my coming and going, I see people differently. I see purpose, and I really fight hard to be present.
There's such an appreciation for life and like each and every day being a gift, because when you learn real young how precious it is and how quickly it can be taken away or change, your eyes are opened up and you do live life on purpose differently. The most recent situation in Uvalde, Texas, hearing about that, honestly, my first instinct sometimes is like, I can't even watch because it's too familiar. And so instead of watching, I feel like all I can do is just start praying, and that's what I chose to do.
I know on this one, I just could not sit back. Then I texted Lauren, and I was just like, we gotta go.
When we first arrived into Uvalde, we said, let's just do a drive. It's a one-street town, really. Everything happens kind of off this main street. And we did find the main gathering place where families in the community were grieving. We didn't know anyone. We didn't have anybody that we were headed to connect with. We literally went with like empty hands and just carriers of the Spirit of God. And we kept saying, we're going as strangers in the land, as people of peace. And our specific prayers were that we would be received, that we would make the right connections with the right people, that God would bring them to us, and that the whole time that we would just bring a sense of like, I understand what you went through and I'm here with you, where we weren't going with big advice or here's the 5-step plan to get better. It was literally just to sit with, to listen, to cry and pray with these families in this community. And I remember specifically one lady that did that for me, a stranger. I don't know her name, but I will never forget her face. We had a gathering after our shooting, and there was a stranger that came and she hugged me, she cried with me, and she prayed with me, and that marked me significantly. And so it was like, it's time for us to go to this community and be that for somebody else. So we stopped at a Walmart and we picked up some poster boards and we made some signs. And they simply said, we are Columbine, we are Robb for Robb Elementary, and we are with you. And we went to this park and we just stood there holding our signs. And we ended up standing there for 8 hours, meeting and talking and praying with people.
I knew that as we went, we weren't doing this alone. God says in his word, he says, I'll go with you. And guess what? I'm holding God to that word because I believe that. And he does, and he did.
One really amazing connection we made was with a family whose daughter we were having conversation with. She was very concerned about her mom because her mom had seen and experienced a lot that day and hadn't started talking about it yet. And she was really worried that she's bottling this up and it was affecting her. And here comes her mom walking up to us, sees our sign, sees us talking to her daughter, hugs us, and instantly just starts, for the first time, talking and communicating and sharing her experience and what she saw that day with us. So we're crying, holding her, and all of a sudden, I mean, this is towards the end of that first day being there. It was pitch black outside, and we were like, have you eaten dinner? And she said, no, have you eaten dinner? And I said, let's go, let's gather your whole family, let's go have a meal together. And we took them all to Sonic. So simple. We ordered so many burgers, fries, shakes, mozzarella sticks, and we got to sit down and have a meal with this family. And it was one of the most beautiful things to see her walls come down, her open up, and again, Jesus prepped the atmosphere. He prepped the trust that Adriana would have with us to start her healing process. And we will continue holding her hand and her family's hands as the days continue. On our way out of town, we wanted to stop at the community area at that park one last time. And there was the most beautiful, powerful worship taking place in the park when we got there. So we found the pastor, and it ended up being a collective of community worship leaders from San Antonio and Uvalde. And so we just said, we're from Columbine. Thank you so much. Can we get your contact? We'd love to partner with you as your community will continue to grieve down the road. We want to be a resource to anybody. And he says, grabs us, and he's like, will you just come and share a word of hope for our community right here, right now? And then he stops the worship, hands us a microphone. And we look at each other like, of course, yep, this is how this whole trip has been, of course. And so we got to share the gospel, a message of hope. To think that 23 years later, after our circumstance took place, how God is still using that for His glory, turning tragedy into triumph.
People are hurting so bad and they need hope. It's time. And I'm encouraging the church, the Big C church all across this world, it's time. You don't have to go far. It's in your house. It's next door to your house. It's out sitting on the front porch with someone who needs to have a little bit longer conversation with you. But are we willing? That's the thing. Are we willing? Are we willing to step outside our own comfort? Are we willing to step outside not having a plan or an agenda, or just really just sitting with people? Because that is when change comes. And that's when we're gonna see revival in this land.